We're just going to talk about that, and then anything else y'all just want to bring up, any pain points that everyone's experiencing in our practices in Texas. But we'll start with introductions real quick. I'm Lily Timon, and I'm your current Texas MGMA president. I'm very honored and privileged to serve you all and our board as well in serving our membership. And so we started these on the suggestion of Betty Wilkes, our executive director, kind of as a casual way to just touch base. No CE credits are given, but it's just a nice way for us to kind of follow up on our Friday focus questions and anything else topic-wise that may have been brought up that we just kind of want to see if that's really a concern or a topic for anyone that is of relevance for your practice in and amongst COVID and everything else that's going on, but just what are people doing to have to pivot to survive or pivot to find new ways of adopting the telemedicine technology or telehealth technology, for instance, and getting reimbursed for that. But today's topic is on disaster preparation planning, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks on. If y'all just want to, if you don't have to show your video, but again, this is very casual, so if you are able to or would like to show your video, that'd be great. I think it makes it more interactive and engaging that way. But if we want to just start off, I see some names. Just a quick introduction, and what part of Texas are you from? And we can start with John Foster. And some of y'all may not be able to unmute if you're in the middle of stuff. Let's see, do we need to unmute him, Betty?
I can ask him.
Okay.
But they who knows, they may be driving, they may be in a
okay.
Office, so.
All right, if there's anyone else that wants to introduce themselves, we've got a couple more folks jumping on here, and just tell us what part of Texas you're from, and then the specialty if you're an administrator of a practice. I see 2 Kathys. Hi, Rick.
Hi, Lily. This is Rick Lucas. I'm from Central Texas in Austin, practice
Awesome.
manager for River ENT.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Rick. Is this your first lunch and learn that you're doing with us? We've only had like about 3 of these.
I've tried a couple of times and have not been successful in connecting, but I'm glad to make connections today.
Yay, great. All right, anybody else? Quick intro and what part of Texas you're from and your specialty.
Hi, well, I'm Kathy Norris, and
Hey,
I'm
Kathy.
in the DF. Hey, how are you, Lily? I'm in the DFW area, and I'm the executive director for Intent, which is North Texas Ear, Nose, and Throat.
Nice. Okay, great. 2 ENTs. Wonderful. Anybody else?
So I'm Kathy Huprich. I'm the department administrator for ophthalmology at UT Health San Antonio.
Awesome. Okay. So we've got Dallas area, North Texas. We've got Central Texas. I myself am in Austin, and I'm with Baylor Scott and White Health for one of their cardiology practices in this region. And then we've got San Antonio. So anybody else?
This is John Foster.
Hi, John.
Hi, I'm administrator of a primary care clinic in Fredericksburg, Texas.
Awesome. In our Hill Country region. Wonderful. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jackie Gavlik, and I'm from Amarillo, and I work at Texas Tech School of Medicine, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. Great. So we've got all the way up to Amarillo. Our past president, Candy Carpenter, you may know her, is in Amarillo as well. So great to have. We have great representation today. All right. So for disaster preparation planning, we don't have anybody from our coastal region, but I'm going to mute my computer, excuse me. But obviously that we tend to think of hurricanes in our coastal region, and then of course in the spring and summer we think of tornado alley areas. But as far as disaster preparation planning, in the past, we've covered this in our annual conferences. Unfortunately, especially after like Hurricane Harvey in 2017 and all, but do you all, according to our polling on Friday, most respondents, we had 15 answer, said over 60% said that they do have a disaster preparation plan in place. But given COVID, has there been any adjustments to say, it's more business recovery, I think, but certainly a pandemic, a global pandemic. Has anyone had to adjust their disaster plans for COVID? No? Everyone's...
Lily, it's everybody's, go ahead, John.
Yeah, Rick or John?
Well, so we didn't really change anything as it related to the general disasters that we think about. I mean, when when COVID came out, we did go strictly to telehealth for about 6 weeks. And then when we started to reopen up, we rewrote our policies on how we would handle patient care and went through that really with a fine tooth comb. And I'll tell you, they've evolved as the data comes out and CDC's, issued their direction. We've evolved our policies. So.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think that's been the case for most everybody. I asked that question because I haven't heard of anyone adjusting their disaster plans, maybe more so business continuity plans or business continuity planning specific to COVID. So definitely, how do you re-engage with your patients remotely, changing workflows in the office to accommodate the use of telemedicine, telehealth, and staffing, as well as just how do you recover financially. So I don't know that anyone specifically thought about disaster planning maybe as a response to COVID, but certainly yeah, a lot of policies have changed, and it's been so fluid, as the popular word is, with adjusting to not only the staffing and then getting patients back and then safety for your staff as well as your patients, but also, are we getting paid? How are we getting paid? When are we getting paid? And then applying for emergency funds. So speaking of emergency funding, did your practices apply for the emergency funding from the federal government?
So we applied and received the PPP funds, the HHS funds as well. We received money from phase 1 as well as phase 2. I'm trying to figure out phase 3. I don't know how that'll be handled. I'm still waiting for my EIN to be approved.
Okay.
But if there's money out there to be gotten, I'm trying to do it and qualify for it and make sure we abide by the principles they want us to use it for.
Okay, well, that's great to hear. Anyone else been able to apply and receive approval for funding?
Yeah, we applied for a PPP loan and also for phase 1 of the Provider Relief Fund.
Okay. Okay, great. Did you all have to, as far as staffing, a lot of us, I mean, larger groups as well as smaller groups have had to either furlough and or release staff due to the loss of volumes and finances? Has that been consistent with y'all as well?
Yeah, I want to say back in April, we furloughed folks for about 6 weeks and went strictly to telehealth and just had a skeleton crew doing that. And then once the PPP money came in, we brought everybody back. So we haven't had to lay anybody off, and we received a nice bump in patient volume once we opened the doors. Now we're ENTs, so it's really hard to do much telehealth. So the 6 weeks of telehealth was really maintenance. And I suspect Kathy knows this. I actually scheduled a patient who, this was kind of funny, said, I need an appointment for an earache, and how are you going to tell I have an earache over the phone? And I just said, well, the doctor you're seeing is a mother, and we all know mothers can see through lots of things. So that got a good laugh out of everybody, but it really was just maintenance.
Sure. So for our procedural specialties like ENT, a lot of your volume or business was dependent on also procedures, I would imagine.
That's correct. Yes. And so it did hurt when we're there, and most of our procedures were considered quote unquote elective. So
Right.
we had to kind of sit and wait until that opened up again.
Yeah, that was very painful for many of our members. It was, I mean, just trying to get in and do anything. It was just a sit and hold. So that was painful for many of our members. And, you know, most of our ENT docs did get the loan as well, or the PPE thing. So, I mean, we put out information so everyone knew exactly how to get it. I think it was kind of hard to even find a bank that would apply for that. So that was a little bit difficult.
Yep. Yep, I heard the suggestion to go to your, go try your local banks first before going to the larger bank chains. But we're part of a large healthcare system in here, so I wasn't as in touch with the smaller or independent practices groups that were applying for these, and so I was very curious. But we definitely heard from a lot of our members that had applied and were trying to shift around as best they could, while also trying to get patients to come back and make sure that it was done in a safe environment and assure patients that it was done in a safe environment. And so, but even for a large healthcare system that we're in, I mean, each of our groups and practices on the specialty side as well as our primary care side, we all had our own pain points within our clinics and departments. And so certainly we had the advantage of a large health system supporting us, but we did have a lot of furloughs, and we did have some, unfortunately, layoffs. So, we had to shift with that as well as the system tried to what we call bounce back. So it's interesting to hear how independent practices then also had the administrative burden of, and financially of applying for these loans. And so I feel for you guys and commend you guys, and you were able to get that funding. So on top of operations and everything else having to deal with. So, but it sounds like everyone is starting to recover. Certainly the funding has helped, but anyone there that feel like that they, haven't been able to recover? Hopefully that's good news. No.
Lily, they're probably, those that aren't on the call are probably dealing with having to try to figure out how to continue to recover.
Yeah, I'm sure. And really, truly, honestly, I think I can speak on behalf of the board for this. It's certainly been my concern on the rural health areas and the smaller practices, even that are just outside of, in the suburban areas of urban, where there's large health system penetration. But I've been really concerned because we've honestly lost some membership and as far as renewals, and we were seeing some new members come on board now. That's picking back up, especially after our virtual conference. But the concern is not hearing from the smaller groups and independents and some of the group practices in suburban areas. and just wondering, you know, are they still there? Are they making it, or they're not making it? And you know, we're hoping to reach out to them as best we can through forums like this, where it's not about, you know, an education session or CEs. It's just kind of networking, reaching out to your peers, or just hearing, you know, how someone else was able to do something in your area. So definitely spread the word for us, and we'd like to continue these weekly and really make sure that it's relevant and be a resource that people can just touch in and or just contact you know, Betty, our executive director, and say, hey, I heard, you know, you all had this, can you point me to some people that were on the call that could help me, or whatever the case may be, whether it's about the topic or not. But we really do want to hear from our members and non-members who are administrators that need help. I don't know if you all have heard from other peers or you know, who said that they're just barely able to keep their head above water, and so they haven't had the time to reach out, but or lean on Texas MGMA, but on other resources. But certainly if you hear that, please let them know that we're here to try and help them out as best we can. So as far as disaster preparation planning, back to the topic, I know I heard this morning that there's another possible hurricane coming, possibly going to hit New Orleans, and so feel for them. Certainly, I think there's some people in the Houston and our Gulf Coast area that's still recovering from the latest hurricanes and or, you know, tropical storms and flooding that we've had. So on top of, you know, COVID and recovery. We haven't seen a lot of requests necessarily for disaster planning, but given that those that don't have a disaster preparation plan in place of the ones that responded, it's looks like about 35%. We have shared among the board examples of disaster plans that our practices have in place, or resources at Texas Medical Association that you can use as a template, or to help guide you put one in place if you don't have one already in place. But it's great to see that a majority do have disaster preparation plans in place. And it's funny, I don't know, personally, me in 20 years in healthcare, about half of it in practice management, with the advent of technology, I think more the disaster preparation planning, we think of natural disasters, but at our virtual conference, we had a couple folks, one of them, the CIO of Dell Medical School here in Austin, talk about cybersecurity. And I think that is the new advent of disaster planning. If your, you know, carriers, medical practice insurance carriers definitely should have a separate rider or plan for cybersecurity protection, and also should have resources on business continuity actions you can take. But does everyone have cybersecurity insurance for your practice as well? Or have you run into any cybersecurity issues or concerns?
Well, Lily, we fortunately we have not had to deal with cybersecurity issues. I feel like our we have IT consultant that manages our stuff because we're that small, and he's got us pretty locked down. It kind of frustrates me from time to time, but in the end, it's the right thing to do.
Right. Yeah.
And we also do have our coverage. I make sure that we have that in place.
Okay. Do you have that part as your disaster preparation plan? Say, for instance, you get hacked, or I mean, there's the whole HIPAA compliance aspect to it as well. But you know, say you do get a ransom threat, what's your action plan for that?
You know, I think this is Kathy. So, I mean, we have a cybersecurity policy and an additional, you know, policy for insurance. And I'm not going to say I didn't think it would ever happen, but it happened to one of our members here about maybe 8 months ago. And they had the ransomware and they were out of business basically for definitely 2 weeks, you know, because they're all electronic. So about for 2 weeks. And then it probably took them a whole nother month to get access to all of their files. And of course, right after that, they actually started working with one of our preferred partners for, you know, IT. So now they're safe and doing everything right. But it was, I mean, you don't realize how it cripples you until it happens, or until you see someone that it happens, and it's a real thing. It's very scary.
So I wonder, that makes me wonder, is this maybe an aspect of disaster preparation planning that it would be of relevance to provide, to procure and find resources for our members, Texas MGMA administrators in Texas, on how to include that as part of your disaster preparation planning is cybersecurity concerns, especially ransom and cyber attacks to your system?
I mean, I would think so, because I think it's, I mean, honestly, cyber attacks are probably more common than tornadoes in our area now. I mean, it can happen at any time. And, you know, there's certain things that you can't even put on, you know, like a jump drive or anything like that. So many doctors are wanting to go back to paper. They feel like it's safer. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth, especially when it's a small office, they just don't have the resources. So anything they can, you know, get from.
Yeah, especially with the advent of telemedicine and telehealth just, you know, exploding as a tool for, and as part of your infrastructure build out for, you know, seeing patients again. That's really just unfortunately made healthcare even that much more vulnerable. So to cyber attacks, we were already kind of, you know, the hot, sexy industry to attack next. And not just, you know, celebrities and famous people as patients, but just, unfortunately, it's just the horrible, you know, people out there that just, because they can do it. They want to see it and they can do it, and for money as well. So I call them pirates, honestly. It's like there's cyber pirates out there wanting to, you know, take your ship. And put it out of commission, if not, you know, for a large amount of ransom. So it is becoming more common. Unfortunately, I don't hear it talked about as much in, you know, like in our profession, because we've got just the day-to-day and everything else going on. But when I was in the health IT side for about 7 to 10 years, that was, even 10, 15 years ago, that was a hot topic, and even more so now. So I think leaning on my colleagues there, it's like the CIO at Dell Medical, I think they'd be happy to share resources and tips and ways to enhance your disaster preparation planning for cyber attacks. So.
Lily, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, like I said, you know, we just traditionally think of natural disasters for disaster preparation planning, but certainly cybersecurity should be included in that, especially with the advent of telemedicine and telehealth platforms taking off. And we certainly have healthcare attorneys that we've had as speakers at our past conferences, including this last virtual one, that I can reach out to as well about also how do you protect yourself, not even from a HIPAA compliance standpoint, but certainly from a cybersecurity standpoint, if you outsource your telemedicine platform to a third party, just to make sure that contractually you're protected as well. I think that's a big one that a lot of practices have been asking about as well. I mean, they should have a disaster. Your third party companies should have a disaster plan as well as your HIPAA compliance. So, well, I didn't mean this to be a Debbie Downer when it comes to disaster planning, but it's definitely It's unfortunately it's a difficult reality, as y'all know, and you know, it's always when you're least prepared that when it seems like when people get hit. So hopefully we can provide some resources pretty quickly and get it out to our membership and to everybody, and on our website as well, about how to protect yourself. All right, how are we doing on time, Betty? I think, do we have this at 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, I think we're about ready to wrap it up.
Okay. Are there anything else, pain points, you guys that are on the call? Quickly, if you want to take advantage of people who are on the call about what you guys are going through, or any happy news? No? Okay. Well, we really appreciate y'all's time and coming on, and everyone I know is really busy, but hopefully you'll find this forum helpful week to week, and when you can pop in, we'll continue to do the Friday Focus question on Fridays and publish results, and then have our Lunch and Learn the following week as a way to openly discuss it.
One thing I might add, there was an incident of a hospital in town here that did have a ransom type thing going with their parent provider on their records and everything, and they're doing things on paper and things like that. We really haven't been directly involved with it, but it's out there, so we need to be cautious.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, because a lot of times people hear that and they're like, but I don't even know where to start or where to go, or what does that mean? You know, how do I prepare? So definitely you hear of those and then you think, okay, you know, I've got my cybersecurity insurance, I've got that in there. But when it happens, I think people are at a loss, because it's you know, it's not something that we've ever had to plan for necessarily before, but it's certainly on the rise. So I look forward to providing those resources to you all and to our membership, and on our website as well, and we'll get that out hopefully by the end of this week.
Thank you for your time, Lily.
Yeah, thank you guys. And I see you, Jay. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lily.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.